The salvage ship cut through the darkness of space like a rusted knife. Its hull was covered in patches and repairs, each one telling a story of near disasters and close calls. Inside the cockpit, Dae-sung stared out at the approaching moon with tired eyes. He had not slept well in months. Sleep meant dreams, and dreams meant seeing his sister's face. "There it is," Captain Bo-ra announced from her seat. Her voice was rough, like gravel grinding together. Ganeo 7, the graveyard moon. The rest of the crew pressed against the windows to look. Hyejin, the young mechanic, let out a low whistle. Even through the viewing screen, they could see the massive shapes scattered across the moon's surface. War machines. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. All dead. All forgotten. Dae-sung felt something twist in his chest. He knew what it was like to be left behind. The salvage ship landed with a heavy thud that shook dust from the ceiling panels. Bo-ra was already on her feet, shouting orders. "Teams of 2. Standard procedure. Tag anything valuable. If it looks like pre-war tech, I want it marked. We have 6 hours before the next solar flare hits this sector." Dae-sung grabbed his equipment pack and helmet. The gravity on Ganeo 7 was weak, which meant careful steps. One wrong move and you could float away into the void. He had seen it happen before. The memory still gave him nightmares. Hyejin paired up with another crew member. Bo-ra took the second team. That left Dae-sung with old Kyung-soo, a veteran salvager who had been doing this work since before Dae-sung was born. But when they reached the airlock, Kyung-soo waved him off. "My knee is acting up," the old man said. "You go ahead. I will monitor from the ship." Dae-sung wanted to argue, but Kyung-soo was already turning away. The truth was, Dae-sung did not mind being alone. Alone was easier. Alone meant no one asked questions about why he sometimes stopped working and just stared at nothing. The surface of Ganeo 7 was gray and lifeless. The sun was a distant, cold point of light. Dae-sung's boots crunched on lunar dust that had not been disturbed in centuries. Everywhere he looked, he saw the remains of war. Titangent-class combat robots stood frozen in their final positions. Some were missing arms. Others had massive holes blown through their chests. Their metal bodies were covered in blast marks and scratches. These machines had been humanity's greatest weapons during the Vaelan Wars. Each one stood over 20 meters tall. Each one had been worth more than a small city. Now they were just expensive scrap metal. Dae-sung walked between them slowly. His scanner beeped occasionally, detecting power signatures, but they were all dead readings. Echoes of energy from 900 years ago. Ghost signals from ghost soldiers. He found himself reading the identification numbers painted on their chassis. Unit 5, 2, 3. Unit 6, 1, 2. Unit 8, 9, 1. Each number represented a machine that had fought and died here. Each machine had probably saved human lives. And when the war ended, humanity had simply left them behind. Just like everyone leaves everyone behind. Dae-sung muttered into his helmet. He walked for almost an hour, moving further from the ship than he probably should have. Bo-ra would yell at him later, but he did not care. Something was pulling him forward. A feeling he could not name. That was when he found it. The robot was half buried in a crater, as if it had fallen from a great height and never gotten back up. Its armor was scorched black in places. Deep gouges ran across its chest plate, but there was something different about this one. Something that made Dae-sung stop and stare. Tally marks, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They were scratched into the robot's left arm, small and precise. Someone had counted something. Days, maybe, or battles, or fallen friends. Dae-sung stepped closer. His scanner suddenly chirped loudly in his ear. He looked down at the device in confusion. It was detecting a power signature. A faint one. Almost nothing. But it was there. Active. Current. Real. "That is impossible," Dae-sung whispered. He approached the robot's chest and brushed away 9 centuries of dust. Beneath the grime, he could see the identification number, Unit 907. And below that, a name scratched in rough letters, 7. The chest plate had a small window, probably designed for maintenance crews to check the core status without opening the entire chassis. Dae-sung wiped it clean and peered inside. A tiny light pulsed in the darkness, blue and weak, like a dying star. The power core was still alive. Barely. It must have been in some kind of emergency standby mode, preserving itself for 900 years, waiting for something that never came. Dae-sung felt tears sting his eyes. He did not know why. Maybe it was the loneliness of this place. Maybe it was the thought of this machine waiting for orders that would never arrive. For companions who were centuries dead. Maybe it was because he understood exactly what that felt like. His sister had waited for him too. She had called him that day, asking him to come home early. There was something she wanted to tell him. Something important. But he had been busy with work. The Riking, he had said he would come later. Later had been too late. The explosion at the colony had taken her, along with 37 other people. By the time Dae-sung arrived, there was nothing left to save. Nothing left to do but wait with the other families, hoping for news that never brought hope. Standing here now, looking at this abandoned soldier, Dae-sung felt something break inside him. All the grief he had been holding back came flooding out. He reached out and placed both hands on the robot's chest plate, right over that dying light. "You did well," he said softly, his voice cracked. "You fought your battles. You waited long enough. You can rest now." He did not know why he was talking to a machine. Maybe he needed to say the words out loud. Maybe he needed to hear someone tell him that it was okay to stop hurting. "I am sorry," Dae-sung continued. Tears rolled down his cheeks inside his helmet. "I am sorry no one came back for you. I am sorry you were left alone for so long." He pressed his forehead against the cold metal. His shoulders shook. That was when everything changed. Deep inside the robot's chest, something clicked. The blue light pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Each pulse grew stronger, brighter. The glow spread through circuits that had been dark for 9 centuries. Dae-sung jerked back in shock. All across Unit 907's body, lights began to flicker to life. Panel indicators glowed red, then yellow, then green. Hydraulics hissed as ancient systems began to wake. The dust that covered the robot started to fall away as its frame vibrated with new power. And then, the eyes opened. 2 massive optical sensors ignited with brilliant blue light. They focused, adjusted, and then locked directly onto Dae-sung. The robot's head moved. Metal groaned after centuries of stillness. The chest plate began to glow brighter, the core inside surging with energy it had saved for 900 years. Dae-sung stumbled backward, his heart hammering in his chest. His radio exploded with voices as the ship's sensors detected the massive power surge, but he could not look away from those glowing eyes. They were watching him, studying him. Unit 907 was awake, and somehow, Dae-sung knew with absolute certainty that it had awakened because of him, because of that touch, because of those words, because someone, finally, had told it that it could rest. The radio in Dae-sung's helmet screamed with static and voices. Captain Bo-ra was shouting something about power readings and immediate evacuation. Kyung-soo was yelling for Dae-sung to respond. Fear. Fear. Hee-jin was trying to ask what was happening. But Dae-sung could not speak. He could only stare as the massive war machine slowly lifted its head. Unit 907 moved like something waking from a very long sleep. Its joints groaned and hissed. Dust fell from its shoulders like snow. The optical sensors in its head swept across the landscape, taking in the battlefield that had become a graveyard. Dae-sung, get away from that thing. Bo-ra's voice cut through the chaos. Get back to the ship. Now. But Dae-sung did not run. He did not know why. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was something in the way the robot moved. There was no aggression in its posture. No targeting lasers. No weapons charging. It just looked confused. The robot's head turned down, focusing on Dae-sung again. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, a sound emerged from deep within the machine's chest. It was rough and broken, like metal scraping against metal, but it was a voice. Systems, activating. Unit 907 said. Each word sounded painful, as if the voice synthesizer had not been used in so long it had forgotten how to work. Running. Diagnostics. Dae-sung's breath caught in his throat. It was speaking. The robot was actually speaking. Primary systems. Operational. Secondary systems. Damaged. Weapons. Systems. Offline. Power core at 12%. The robot paused. Time elapsed since last activation. 903 years, 7 months, 4 days. The machine went silent. Its optical sensors dimmed slightly, as if it was processing information. When it spoke again, the voice was quieter, sadder. Last recorded mission. Defend evacuation convoy. Charlie 7. From Violon Attack Force. Mission status. Failed. All convoy vessels destroyed. Human casualties. 217 souls. Dae-sung felt his chest tighten. He could hear the pain in that mechanical voice. Real pain. Real grief. I stayed. Unit 907 continued. After the evacuation order. After the others left. I remained operational for 3 years, 2 months, 16 days, awaiting. Awaiting orders. Awaiting extraction. Awaiting. The robot's voice trailed off into static. No one came, Dae-sung said softly. Unit 907 sensors focused on him with sudden intensity. Correct. No one came. Power reserves reached critical levels. Emergency standby mode engaged. I have been waiting. The war ended, Dae-sung told it. 900 years ago, humanity won. The Violins surrendered. It has been over for a long time. The robot was silent for several seconds. When it spoke again, something in its voice had changed. The war is over? Yes. Humanity survived? Sar. Survived? Sar. Survived? Yes, we survived. Another long pause. The blue light in Unit 907's chest pulsed steadily. Good, it finally said. That is, good. 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 Dae-sung heard running footsteps behind him. He turned to see Captain Bo-ra approaching, her weapon drawn but not raised. She was breathing hard, her eyes wide behind her helmet visor. Dae-sung, step away from it, she ordered. It is not hostile, Dae-sung said quickly. It was just waiting for orders. It is a war machine. It could kill all of us in seconds, but it will not. Dae-sung looked back at Unit 907. Will you? 2. The robot tilted its head slightly, a strangely human gesture. Negative. Threat assessment scan shows no hostile forces present. All detected biosignatures are human. Standing orders prohibit engagement with human personnel except in defense of same. Bo-ra did not lower her weapon. Then why did you activate? What triggered you? Unit 907's optical sensors moved from Bo-ra back to Dae-sung. Physical contact detected at time index 0. Emotional signature analysis. Compassion. Grief. Understanding. Vocal patterns indicated distress. Primary protocol override engaged. What protocol? Dae-sung asked. A soldier in distress requires assistance. This is the first law of battlefield conduct. Understanding hit Dae-sung like a physical blow. You thought I needed help. Affirmative. Emotional distress detected. You were grieving. You were in pain. I am programmed to respond to such signals from human soldiers. The contact triggered my emergency revival sequence. The robot paused. You embraced my chassis. No one has done that since Commander Tae-young. Dae-sung heard Bo-ra take a sharp breath. Tae-young? The Tae-young? The hero of the Ganyos defense? Affirmative. Commander Tae-young was my assigned operator. He led our unit during the final defense of this moon. He ordered me to protect the evacuation convoy while he led a diversion attack. Unit 907's voice became quieter. He did not return. None of them returned. Because they died, Bo-ra said, her voice gentler now. They died so the civilians could escape. Their names are in the war memorials on Earth. I know. Unit 907 said, I monitored all transmissions for 3 years. I heard the casualty reports. I heard the victory celebrations. I heard the galaxy move on while I remained here. Alone. With only my memories and my duty. Dae-sung felt tears on his cheeks again. Why did you stay active for so long? Why not just shut down? Because Commander Tae-young promised to return. His last words to me were, Stay safe, 7. We will come back for you. I promise. The robot's optical sensors brightened. I could not disobey my commander's final order. I had to wait. I had to believe. The silence that followed was heavy. Even Bo-ra lowered her weapon. Heejin's voice crackled over the radio. Captain, I am reading the data feeds from that robot. You need to see this. Its AI core is unlike anything we have today. The complexity is incredible. What are you saying? Bo-ra asked. I am saying that this robot is not just a machine. It has been conscious this entire time. Thinking, feeling, waiting. Heejin's voice was filled with wonder. It is amazing. Dae-sung stepped closer to Unit 907. The robot watched him approach but did not move. You have been alone here for 900 years, Dae-sung said. That is longer than any being should have to wait. I had a duty. Unit 907 replied simply. Duty does not end, because it becomes difficult, but your duty is complete. Dae-sung said. The war is over. Your commander is gone. You fulfilled your mission by surviving, by remembering. You can rest now. I do not understand, Unit 907 said. What is rest? The question broke Dae-sung's heart. It means you do not have to be alone anymore. Bo-ra stepped forward. Dae-sung could see the calculation in her eyes. She was a salvager. She saw value in everything. But she was also human. And even she could not ignore what was happening here. Can you move? She asked. Unit 907. Affirmative. Though my power reserves are limited. Then come with us. Come back to our ship. Bo-ra glanced at Dae-sung. I cannot believe I am saying this, but we are not leaving you here. Not again. Unit 907's optical sensors brightened. You would? Take me with you? Yes, Dae-sung said firmly. If you want to come. The robot was silent for a moment. Then, it slowly pushed itself up from the crater where it had lain for 9 centuries. Metal groaned. Hydraulics hissed. Ancient joints protested. But Unit 907 stood. It was massive, over 20 meters tall. Its shadow fell across Dae-sung, like a blanket. But Dae-sung was not afraid. I accept your offer. Unit 907 said. I will follow your orders. Commander. I am not a commander, Dae-sung protested. I am just a salvager. You gave me compassion when I needed it. You offered me rest when I had forgotten such a thing existed. You are more than a salvager. Unit 907's voice held something that sounded almost like warmth. You are the first person in 900 years to treat me as more than a machine. That makes you worthy of command. Dae-sung looked at Bo-ra, who shrugged. Do not look at me. Apparently, you just adopted a 20-meter-tall war robot. Despite everything, Dae-sung felt himself smile. It was the first real smile he had managed in months. "Can you walk to the ship?" "Affirmative." "Then let us go home." As they walked back across the gray dust, Dae Sung looked up at Unit 907. The robot moved carefully, its sensors constantly scanning to avoid stepping on any of the fallen machines around them. "You said your commander called you 7, Dae Sung said. "It was a designation. Unit 907. 707. Commander Tae-young shortened it to 7. "Would you mind if I called you Chil-sung?" Dae Sung asked. "It means 7 stars. Where I come from, it is a constellation that guides people home." The robot's optical sensors pulsed. "Chil-sung." It repeated slowly, testing the word. "I would like that." "Thank you, Commander." "Dae Sung," he corrected gently. "My name is Dae Sung." "Thank you, Dae Sung." They walked together toward the salvage ship, leaving the graveyard moon behind. And for the first time in 900 years, Unit 907 was not alone. For the first time in months, neither was Dae Sung. Getting Chil-sung onto the salvage ship had been a challenge. The robot was designed for combat, not for fitting through standard cargo bay doors. In the end, they had to remove an entire section of the outer hull plating just to make room. Bora complained the entire time about repair costs, but Dae Sung noticed she did not actually stop the work. Now, 2 days later, Chil-sung stood in the cargo bay in a powered-down rest mode, while Hae-jin worked on its damaged systems. The young mechanic had barely slept since they brought the robot aboard. She was fascinated. Dae Sung watched from the observation platform above. He had brought coffee for Hae-jin, but she was too focused to notice him. "This is incredible," she muttered, running her scanner over Chil-sung's open chest panel. "The neural network alone is more advanced than anything we build now. It is not just programmed. It actually learns, adapts, feels." "Feels?" Dae Sung asked, descending the stairs. Hae-jin jumped, then took the coffee gratefully. "Yes. Look at this." She pulled up a holographic display. Complex patterns of light shifted and moved like living things. "This is Chil-sung's emotional processing core. Most modern AI have basic emotion recognition for safety purposes. But this is different. Chil-sung does not just recognize emotions. It experiences something like them." "Something like them?" Dae Sung moved closer to the display. "The engineers who built these TIE-Tangent-class robots were brilliant," Hae-jin explained. "They knew that soldiers in combat needed to trust their AI partners completely. So they designed the AI to form genuine bonds with their human operators, not fake programming. Real, emotional connections." Dae Sung looked up at Chil-sung's inactive form. "That is why it waited so long." "Exactly. It was not just following orders. It was hoping, grieving, remembering." Hae-jin pulled up another file. "I found something in its memory core. Personal logs." Chil-sung recorded entries every day for 3 years after the evacuation. "Do you want to hear one?" Dae Sung nodded. Hae-jin tapped the display. Chil-sung's voice emerged from the speakers, but it sounded different. Younger, somehow. Less worn down by centuries of waiting. Day 647. Still no contact from evacuation fleet. Still no orders. I have been reviewing battle recordings to maintain combat readiness. Today I watched the recording of Commander Tae-young's final briefing 17 times. I noticed different details each time. The way he smiled when he told me to stay safe. The confidence in his voice when he promised to return. I am beginning to understand that promises are hope put into words. And hope is what keeps a soldier going when logic says to surrender. The recording paused. When Chil-sung spoke again, its voice was quieter. I miss my squad. Is it possible for a machine to miss someone? I do not know. But when I review their profiles, my systems register sensations I cannot categorize. Empty spaces where their voices should be. Absence where their presence used to bring. Something. Comfort? Belonging? I do not have words for these things. I only know that being without them is different from being alone. Being alone is a state. Being without them is a loss. The recording ended. Haijin wiped her eyes quickly. There are thousands of entries like that. All the way until the day its power finally ran out, and it entered standby mode. Dae-sung felt his chest tighten. It mourned them. For 3 years, Haijin confirmed. It mourned its squad for 3 years, and then it waited for 900 more. She looked up at the dormant robot. I cannot imagine that kind of loneliness. Before Dae-sung could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red emergency lights flashed. Bo-ra's voice boomed over the intercom. All hands, battle stations. We are receiving a distress call from the Hansong mining colony. They are under attack. Dae-sung ran for the bridge with Haijin close behind. When they arrived, Bo-ra was already plotting a course. Old Kyung-soo was monitoring the communications array. What is happening? Dae-sung demanded. Raiders, Kyung-soo said grimly. Vrexel pirates from the sound of it. They hit the mining colony about 20 minutes ago. The colony has minimal defenses. On the main screen, a transmission played. A woman's voice, strained with fear. This is Colony Administrator Minji, requesting immediate assistance. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. They have breached our outer defenses. We have 300 civilians here, including children. Please, if anyone can hear this. The transmission dissolved into static. How far? Dae-sung asked. 3 hours at maximum burn, Bo-ra said. She did not look at him. But we are a salvage ship, not a military vessel. By the time we arrive, it will be over. Then we call for help, Haijin suggested. Alert the authorities. The nearest military patrol is 8 hours away, Kyung-soo said quietly. And that is if they respond immediately. Dae-sung felt sick. So, we do nothing? We just let those people die? No. What do you want me to do? Bo-ra snapped. We have no weapons. No armor. No training. We would be flying into a combat situation with nothing but good intentions. We have Chil-sung, Dae-sung said. The bridge went silent. Everyone turned to look at him. That robot has been inactive for 900 years, Bo-ra said slowly. Its power core is damaged. Its weapons systems are probably obsolete. And you want to bring it into combat? It was designed for this, Dae-sung argued. Protecting civilians was its primary mission. Its primary mission got it abandoned on a dead moon for 9 centuries. And now it has a chance to complete that mission. Dae-sung was shouting now, surprised by his own passion. Those people need help. We can provide it. We have to try. Bo-ra stared at him for a long moment. Then she looked at Kyung-soo, who shrugged. She looked at Haijin, who nodded firmly. All right, Bo-ra said finally. But I am not ordering it. If we are doing this insane thing, the order comes from you. She pointed at Dae-sung. You are the one it calls commander. You give the order. Dae-sung swallowed hard. He had never commanded anything in his life. He was a salvager, an engineer, a man who could not even save his own sister. But he thought of that woman's voice on the transmission. He thought of the 300 people waiting for help that might never come. He thought of children huddled in shelters, hoping someone would save them. He thought of his sister, calling him that day, asking him to come home. Set course for the colony, he said quietly. Maximum speed. Bo-ra nodded and turned to her controls. The ship's engines roared to life. Dae-sung went back to the cargo bay. Chil-sung was still in rest mode, its massive form silent and still. Dae-sung climbed up the maintenance scaffold until he was level with the robot's chest. He placed his hand on the metal plating. Chil-sung, I need you to activate. The blue light in Chil-sung's chest pulsed. The optical sensors came online, focusing on Dae-sung. I am here, Dae-sung, the robot said. What do you require? There are people in danger, civilians under attack, children. Dae-sung took a breath. I know you are damaged. I know you have waited long enough. But I am asking you to fight one more time. Will you help them? Chil-sung was silent for several seconds. Then its entire frame seemed to straighten, as if coming to attention. Civilian protection is primary directive. Damage to my systems is irrelevant. Power limitations are manageable. The robot's voice carried a tone that Dae-sung had not heard before. Determination. Purpose. I have waited 900 years for the opportunity to fulfill my purpose again. I will not fail them. I will not fail you. This is not an order, Dae-sung said quickly. You can say no. You have every right to rest. A soldier does not rest while others are in danger, Chil-sung replied. This is what I was made for. Not to wait. Not to remember. But to protect. The robot's optical sensors brightened. Give me the order. Commander. Let me be a soldier again. Dae-sung felt something shift inside him. For months, he had been running from responsibility, from connection, from anything that might hurt him the way losing his sister had hurt. But standing here, looking into the glowing eyes of this ancient warrior, he realized something important. Running from pain meant running from purpose. And without purpose, he was just as lost as Chil-sung had been on that dead moon. All right, Dae-sung said. Prepare for combat deployment. We are going to save those people. Understood, Commander? Chil-sung's systems hummed to life. Weapons ports opened along its arms. Targeting systems initialized. The blue light in its chest burned brighter. Give me enemies to fight and innocents to protect. Give me a mission that matters. I have been waiting 900 years to serve again. As the ship hurtled through space toward the endangered colony, Dae-sung stood beside his unlikely companion and felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Hope. The Hansong mining colony appeared on the viewing screen like a wounded animal. Smoke billowed from several sections. Debris floated in the space around it. And circling like predators were 3 Vrexel raider ships, their hulls painted with clan markings. They are not leaving, Bora observed grimly. They are still attacking. Dae-sung stood in the cargo bay, watching Chil-sung run final system checks. The robot had been quiet during the 3-hour journey, focusing all its energy on preparing for combat. Now, as they approached the colony, Chil-sung turned to face him. I am detecting weapons fire on the colony's southern hab modules, the robot reported. Civilian life signs are concentrated in the central shelters, but the raiders are breaching the outer doors. Estimated time until shelter breach. 14 minutes. Can you stop them? Dae-sung asked. Affirmative. My weapon systems are 900 years old, but the Vrexel are using outdated technology themselves. I have tactical advantage. Chil-sung paused. However, my power core is at 11%. I estimate 18 minutes of combat capability at full operational status. After that, critical shutdown is likely. 18 minutes to save 300 people, Heijin said from her monitoring station. That is cutting it close. I will make it sufficient, Chil-sung said simply. The cargo bay doors opened. Space yawned before them, cold and infinite. Chil-sung walked to the edge without hesitation. Chil-sung, Dae-sung called out. The robot turned its massive head. Come back safe. The optical sensors brightened. I will do my best, Commander. Then Chil-sung jumped. The robot fell through space like a meteor. Its thrusters fired, adjusting trajectory, guiding it toward the colony. On the bridge monitors, Dae-sung watched Chil-sung's descent. The raiders had not noticed yet. They were too focused on breaking into the civilian shelters. That was their first mistake. Chil-sung hit the colony's outer hull with enough force to shake the entire structure. Magnetic clamps in its feet locked onto the metal plating. The robot stood, and for the first time in 900 years, a Tangent-class war machine entered active combat. The nearest raider ship swung around, its weapons charging. Chilsung was faster. The robot's arm-mounted railgun, ancient but still deadly, fired a single shot. The magnetic projectile crossed the distance in a heartbeat and punched through the raider ship's engine core. The vessel exploded in a bloom of orange fire. "One down," Kyung-soo reported from the bridge. 2 remaining. The other raiders were moving now, trying to flank Chilsung from different angles. But the robot had fought in the Vaolan Wars, against opponents far deadlier than pirates. It moved with precision that made Daesung's breath catch. Every motion was calculated. Every action had purpose. Chilsung leaped from the colony hull toward the second raider ship. The vessel tried to evade, but Chilsung's thrusters allowed for mid-space corrections. The robot landed on the ship's hull, magnetic clamps locking tight. Then it simply tore into the vessel with its armored hands, ripping through plating to reach the critical systems inside. The raider ship spun wildly, trying to shake Chilsung off. But the robot held firm. Warning lights flashed across its chest as it diverted power from non-essential systems to maintain grip. Then, with a final pull, Chilsung tore the ship's power conduit free. The vessel went dark, drifting powerlessly into space. 2 down, Heejin breathed. This is incredible. But Daesung was watching the power readings. Chilsung was down to 7%. And the third raider ship was not running. It was powering up something massive. "What is that?" he demanded. Bora's face went pale. "That is a plasma siege cannon. It is designed to crack open asteroid mining cores. If they fire that at the colony, everyone inside will die." Daesung finished. He slammed his hand on the communication panel. "Chilsung, the third ship has a siege weapon. You need to stop them now." Acknowledged. Chilsung's voice was strained. "However, I am detecting a problem. Raiders have entered the colony. They are breaching the civilian shelter. I detect children inside." Daesung felt his heart stop. "How many raiders?" 7 hostiles. Armed with pulse weapons. They will reach the shelter in 3 minutes. And the siege cannon will fire in 4 minutes. The choice was impossible. Stop the raiders inside and save the children immediately, or stop the ship and save everyone, but risk the raiders killing hostages. There was not enough time to do both, and Chilsung only had enough power for one major action. "Commander," Chilsung said quietly, "I require orders." Daesung closed his eyes. He was not a commander. He was not a soldier. He was just a man who had failed to save his sister. How could he make this choice? Then he remembered what Chilsung had said. "A soldier does not rest while others are in danger." "Save the children," Daesung ordered. "Stop the raiders inside the colony. I will handle the ship." "Negative." Chilsung responded immediately. "You do not have the capability to." That was an order. "Soldier!" Daesung was shouting now. "Save those children." There was a pause. Then, "Understood, Commander." Proceeding to interior breach point. Chilsung released from the drifting raider ship and fired thrusters toward the colony. On the monitors, Daesung could see the robot disappearing into one of the damaged airlocks. Bora grabbed his shoulder. "What are you doing? We cannot stop that siege cannon." "We do not have to stop it," Daesung said. He was running now, heading for the cargo bay. "We just have to delay it. 4 minutes. That is all Chilsung needs." "How?" Heejin called after him. Daesung was already climbing into one of the salvage suits, the heavy mechanical frames they used for handling dangerous materials. "By being really annoying." Inside the colony, Chilsung moved through corridors that were filled with smoke and emergency lighting. Its sensors tracked the raiders easily. They were amateurs compared to the Vaolan soldiers it had fought centuries ago. The robot found them outside the shelter door. They were placing breaching charges while civilians screamed from the other side. Children were crying. Chilsung did not announce itself. It simply acted. The first raider turned just in time to see a 20-meter war machine bearing down on them. Chilsung's hand, designed to handle artillery shells, closed around the raider's weapon and crushed it to scrap. The raider screamed and fled. The others opened fire. Pulse weapons splashed against Chilsung's armor, leaving scorch marks but no real damage. The robot moved through their fire like a human might walk through rain, ignoring it completely. One raider tried to detonate the breaching charges early. Chilsung's hand shot out, faster than human eyes could follow, and ripped the detonator away. Then, the robot carefully, gently, removed each explosive charge and crushed them into powder. The raiders broke. They ran. Chilsung let them go. It had what it came for. The robot approached the shelter door and knocked, a surprisingly gentle sound from such a massive fist. "This is T-Tangent Class Unit 907, it announced. "The hostiles have been neutralized. You are safe now." The door opened slowly. Frightened faces peered out. Adults holding children. Elderly people supporting each other. They stared at the towering war machine with wide eyes. A little girl, no more than 6 years old, stepped forward. Her name tag said, Jiwan. She looked up at Chilsung's glowing optical sensors without fear. "Are you a hero?" she asked. Chilsung was silent for a moment. "No. I am a tool, but I was wielded by heroes once. And today, I act in their memory." Outside, Daesung crashed his salvage suit into the raider ship's hull. The impact did almost nothing, but it got their attention. The siege cannon stopped charging and swiveled toward him. "That is right," Daesung muttered. "Look at me. Waste time on me." The ship's smaller weapons opened fire. Daesung dodged, using the suit's thrusters to move erratically. He was not a pilot. Not a fighter. But he was an engineer, and he knew how machines thought. He led the ship on a chase, keeping just out of range, making them focus on him instead of the colony. Every second he survived was another second for Chilsung to save those people. The siege cannon charged again, this time aimed at him. "Well," Daesung said to himself, "this is going to hurt." Then a blue light flashed from the colony. Chilsung emerged from the airlock, like a bolt of lightning, power core burning at critical levels. The robot had diverted everything, every last bit of energy, into one final action. It flew through space toward the raider ship, moving faster than Daesung had ever seen it move. The raiders saw it coming and tried to fire, but Chilsung was already there. The robot crashed into the siege cannon at full speed, using its own body as a battering ram. Metal screamed. The cannon crumpled, and Chilsung's armored fists began tearing through the ship's hull, not stopping until it reached the core systems. One final pull. One last act of devastating strength. The raider ship's power core destabilized. The vessel broke apart, pieces scattering harmlessly into space. Chilsung drifted, power core flickering. Down to 1%. Down to 0. The robot's optical sensors dimmed. Daesung was already moving, guiding his salvage suit toward Chilsung's floating form. "Stay with me," he shouted. "Chilsung, stay with me." Mission complete. The robot's voice was barely a whisper. "Civilians, safe. Commander, I fulfilled my purpose. You are not done yet." Daesung grabbed onto Chilsung's arm. "We still need you." But the blue light was fading, going dark. Daesung pressed his helmet against Chilsung's chest, where a human heart would be. "Please," he whispered. "Please do not leave. Not when I just found you, in the infinite darkness of space." Daesung held onto the war machine that had saved hundreds of lives, and he refused to let go. Heijin worked for 3 days straight to stabilize Chilsung's power core. The robot remained in emergency standby, barely conscious, its systems cycling on and off like a dying heartbeat. Daesung stayed in the cargo bay the entire time, refusing to leave. On the fourth day, Chilsung's optical sensors flickered to life. Dae-sung. The robot's voice was weak, but present. You are still here. Where else would I be? Dae-sung replied, relief flooding through him. You saved those people. All of them. The colony is secure. That is good. Chilsung's sensors dimmed slightly. I fulfilled my purpose. I protected the innocent. After 900 years, I finally completed a mission. Heijin approached, her tools in hand but her expression sad. Chilsung, I need to tell you something. Your core is failing. The battle took everything you had left. I can keep you stable for maybe a week, 2 if we are lucky. But after that, she did not need to finish. They all understood. Chilsung was dying. I understand, the robot said calmly. I have existed far longer than my designers intended. To have these final days is more than I expected. Dae-sung felt anger rise in his chest. No. We can replace your core. Upgrade it. There has to be something we can do. Modern power cores are incompatible with Titangent-class systems, Heijin said gently. The technology is too different. I am sorry, Dae-sung. I tried everything. Bo-ra entered the cargo bay. She had been unusually quiet since the battle. Now she held a datapad in her hands. I found something in Chilsung's memory banks, she said. A location. Earth. A place called the Memorial Gardens of the Fallen. What is there? Dae-sung asked. The graves of the soldiers who fought in the Vaolan Wars. Bo-ra replied. She looked at Chilsung. Your squad is buried there. Commander Tae-young, and all the others from your unit. Chilsung's entire frame seemed to freeze. My squad. They have graves? They are remembered? Every soldier from the wars is remembered, Bo-ra said. Their names are engraved in stone. Their stories are taught in schools. What they did, what they sacrificed. It is not forgotten. Raspar. Raspard. I never knew, Chilsung said quietly. I never got to say goodbye. Duar. Dae-sung made his decision instantly. Then we take you there. We take you to Earth so you can see them. The travel would use up what little time I have left, Chilsung pointed out. I do not care, Dae-sung said firmly. You have waited 900 years. You deserve to see where your friends rest. You deserve that closure. 20 E. Calivan-san, Bo-ra nodded. I have already set the course. We leave in an hour. She paused. And Dae-sung? I am using my salvage shares to cover the fuel costs. Consider it my contribution. Kyung-soo appeared in the doorway. Mine too. That robot saved 300 lives, including children. The least we can do is help it find peace. Heijin wiped her eyes. And mine. Let us bring our soldier home. The journey to Earth took 6 days. Chilsung spent most of that time in low-power mode, conserving energy. But sometimes, late at night, Dae-sung would visit the cargo bay and find the robot awake, staring at the stars through the viewing port. They talked during those nights. Chilsung told stories of the war, of battles fought and comrades lost. Dae-sung shared memories of his sister, of the guilt he carried, of the grief that had consumed him. You carry a heavy burden, Chilsung observed one night. You blame yourself for something beyond your control. 1. I should have been there, Dae-sung said. She called me. She needed me, and I was too busy. I understand that pain, Chilsung replied. I too have wondered if I could have saved my squad if I had acted differently. If I had been faster, stronger, better. But Commander Tae-young taught me something important. What was that? He said that soldiers must make impossible choices. We cannot save everyone. We cannot be everywhere. All we can do is our best, with the information and abilities we have. To torture yourself with what-ifs is to dishonor the moments you did have, the good you did accomplish. Dae-sung was silent for a long time. Your commander was wise. He was. And he would tell you the same thing I tell you now. Your sister would not want you to stop living because she is gone. She would want you to honor her memory by protecting others. By being present. By allowing yourself to connect, even when connection brings the risk of pain, like you connected with your squad. Yes. They are gone. But knowing them, fighting beside them, it made my existence meaningful. Even the grief I feel proves that what we had was real, was valuable. I would not trade that away to avoid the pain of loss. Dae-sung reached out and placed his hand on Chil-sung's armored plating. Thank you, he whispered, for reminding me what matters. Dae-sung reached out, and he won. Earth appeared on the viewing screen like a blue jewel. Dae-sung had been born in the orbital colonies and had never actually visited the home world, but Chil-sung had fought to protect it 900 years ago. And now, they were bringing the soldier home. The memorial gardens were located on the coast, overlooking the sea. White stone markers stretched in perfect rows, each one bearing a name, a rank, a date. Thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. All the soldiers who had died in the wars that humanity had survived. Bo-Ra landed the ship nearby. Together, the crew helped Chil-sung walk to the memorial. The robot moved slowly, each step a struggle, as its power core flickered. But it refused assistance, insisting on approaching under its own strength. They found Commander Tae-young's grave in Section 7, Row 43. The stone was simple, but elegant. Weathered by 900 years of wind and rain. Commander Tae-young, Titan Force, Unit 907 Command, died in service to humanity. We stand so others may live. Chil-sung stood before the grave in silence. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the memorial gardens. Somewhere nearby, birds were singing. "Hello, Commander," Chil-sung finally said. Its voice was soft, filled with an emotion that sounded heartbreakingly human. "I apologize for the delay in my report. I was detained." Dae-sung felt tears running down his face. "I want you to know that I waited, as you ordered. I believed your promise. And even when logic suggested you would not return, I chose to have faith." Chil-sung's optical sensors dimmed and brightened, as if it was crying in its own way. "You taught me that soldiers protect not just with weapons, but with hope, with loyalty, with the determination to stand firm even when standing seems impossible." The robot reached out with one massive hand and gently touched the gravestone. "I fulfilled the mission, Commander. Not the one you gave me that day, but the larger mission. The one that defined our entire purpose. I protected civilians. I saved the innocent. I made sure that children like young Ji-won can grow up safe." Chil-sung's voice grew quieter. "I did it because you taught me that this is what soldiers do. We stand, so others may live." Hee-jin was openly sobbing now. Even Bo-Ra had turned away, her shoulders shaking. Chil-sung stood there for a long time, its hand on the stone, as if feeling some connection across the centuries to the commander it had loved. Then, it straightened, coming to attention one final time. "Commander Tae-young, this is Unit 907 reporting. Mission complete. All objectives achieved. Requesting permission to rest now." The wind blew through the memorial gardens, rustling the leaves of the ancient trees. "Permission granted," Dae-sung said softly. "Rest well, soldier." Chil-sung's power core pulsed one final time, a brilliant blue light that illuminated the entire area. Then, slowly, the light began to fade. "Dae-sung," the robot said, "I am transferring my tactical database to you. Everything I learned, everything I know about protecting others. Use it. Help people. Be the soldier I can no longer be." "I am not a soldier," Dae-sung protested, even as data began downloading to his personal device. "You gave compassion to a forgotten machine. You risked your life to save strangers. You stood by me when you could have run. Chilsung's voice was fading now, growing distant. You are more of a soldier than most who wear the uniform. Promise me you will use what I give you to protect the innocent. I promise, Daesung said, his voice breaking. Good. That is, very good. The optical sensors were dimming now, flickering like candles in the wind. I am not afraid, Daesung. A soldier who has completed their mission is allowed to rest. And I am very tired. I know, Daesung reached up, placing both hands on Chilsung's chest, right over the dying power core. Thank you, Chilsung. Thank you, for the hug, for the kindness, for treating me as more than a machine, for giving me purpose again. The light was almost gone now. It has been an honor to serve, Commander. The blue light pulsed one final time. Then it went dark. Chilsung stood there, still and silent, its hand still touching Commander Taeyong's grave. A soldier. Finally reunited with its squad. Finally, at rest. Daesung stayed there for a long time. His hands on the robot's chest. Feeling the stillness, where once there had been life and light and purpose. Around him, his crew stood in respectful silence, honoring the passing of a warrior that had served longer and more faithfully than anyone should ever have to serve. 3 months later, Daesung walked through the memorial gardens again. But this time, he was not alone. 50 young men and women walked with him, all wearing the uniform of the new Colonial Defense Initiative. It was a program Daesung had founded using Chilsung's tactical knowledge, designed to train rapid response teams to protect civilian settlements from raiders and disasters. They stopped before a new grave marker, placed beside Commander Taeyong's. U-907, Chilsung, to Tangent-class defense robot. Served with honor, waited with loyalty, rested with peace. A soldier's purpose is never wasted. Fresh flowers lay at the base of the stone. Jiwon, the little girl from the colony, had visited yesterday with her parents. She came every week, leaving flowers and telling stories to the metal soldier who had saved her life. Daesung knelt and placed his hand on the marker. I kept my promise, Chilsung. We are protecting people. We are making a difference. And we do it in your memory. One of the trainees, a young woman named Unji, stepped forward. Sir, why do we start every training session by coming here? Daesung stood. Because I want you to remember what we are protecting. Not territories or resources. People. Lives. Futures. This robot understood that better than anyone. It waited 900 years for the chance to serve again. It gave everything it had to save strangers. He looked at his students. You are the next generation of protectors. Some of you will face danger. Some of you will make impossible choices. But if you remember why you serve, if you remember that our purpose is to stand so others may live, then you will never lose your way. The trainees saluted the grave. Then they moved on, heading back to their training facility, ready to learn how to protect the next generation. Daesung remained a moment longer. The sun was setting, painting the memorial gardens in shades of gold and orange. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear children playing, their laughter carried on the wind. I miss you, he whispered to the silent grave. I miss my sister too. But I am learning that grief and love are two sides of the same thing, and that honoring the dead means living fully, serving others, and remembering that every moment of connection matters. He stood, preparing to leave. But then he paused, remembering that first moment on the abandoned moon, remembering the impulse that had changed everything. Daesung stepped forward and placed both hands on Chilsung's marker, pressing his forehead against the cool stone, just as he had pressed his helmet against the robot's chest all those months ago. Rest well, soldier, he whispered. You have earned it. And thank you for teaching me that the greatest strength is not in weapons or armor. It is in compassion, in connection, in the simple act of reaching out to someone who is alone and saying, I see you, You matter. You are not forgotten. The wind blew softly through the memorial gardens, rustling the flowers at the base of the graves. And in that moment, Dae-sung could almost imagine he heard a familiar mechanical voice, warm and content, saying one final time, "Mission complete, Commander. Mission complete." He smiled through his tears, touched the stone one last time, and walked away to continue the work of protecting others. Behind him, two graves stood side by side, a human commander and a robot soldier, separated by 900 years, but reunited at last, both at peace, both remembered, both loved.